Hi, my name is Damon Brown of DamonBrown.net. I am an advocate, a coach, and a speaker for the side hustlers, the solopreneurs, and the non-traditional entrepreneurs. Today we're talking about Jay-Z, who recently became the first billionaire in hip hop. And specifically, I'm going to talk about the one simple thing, actually two simple things, that he does well that made him a billionaire in hip hop. As you might recall, Dr. Dre, a few years previously, almost became a billionaire as well, but didn't quite hit the mark. But this actually applies to his journey as well. So what's interesting about Jay-Z, if you're not familiar, he's been in the hip hop world for, I want to say 1996. So he's been in the active rapper for like 25 years. And he just hit the Forbes billionaire list, which is incredible considering all the people that were before him. And yeah, hopefully he won't be the only one. Now, there's two things that I think he does extraordinarily well as far as him getting to this billionaire level or any kind of success that you might find applicable. The first one is that he's actually making value to get value. In other words, he's bringing something and then finding ways to make it multiply. A good instance of this is him actually owning the rights and the masters to the work that he does. And so that actually occurred many, many years before with his first major album, 1996's Reasonable Doubt. That was actually the equivalent of self-published through Rockefeller Records, which is a union between him and two other individuals, Dame Dash and Briggs Burke. So fascinating stuff. It's worth looking up and Googling that, or you can go to inkdamonbrown.com and look up some of the other columns where I've talked about Jay-Z. So it's essentially self-published. So they, just like I self-published my bestseller, The Ultimate Bite-Sized Entrepreneur, a few years back. When you do that, then that means you can move in certain ways that other people can't necessarily move. And so him able to go ahead and keep the masters to a lot of his work allowed him to get revenue over the years to his work. It also allowed him to take those properties, what we would call IP in the legal world, take that intellectual property and apply it to different ways. A simple example with me is my book from a little while ago, 2019, got it mixed up. Early 2019 is called Bring Your Worth. It's actually the name of my imprint, my publishing company, how to level up your creative power, value, and service to the world. A lot of y'all grabbed it and have been super supportive of it. But because this was self-published, because it's through my own imprint, then I was able to collaborate with my cover designer, Beck Loss, The Beck Effect, as well as my wife and partner, Parul Patel, who's actually pretty crafty, and make these mugs, right? All those things are available as we speak over at DamonBrown.net. And this is good for coffee as well as things that are a little bit stronger. And so because I was able to make those moves, then because I was able to because I was able to have that freedom, I was able to make those moves. And let's counterpoint that to the traditional books that I've had, where most of the books on this side are actually my books. So I've done 25 books. My upcoming book, January 28th, 2021, Build From Now, How to Know Your Power, See Your Abundance, and Nourish the World. This is actually my 25th book, but my previous 18 books were actually through traditional publishers. Most of those experiences were great. However, if I wanted to make mugs based on, say, the book that I did with Hugh Hefner 10 years ago, a coffee table book called Playboy's Greatest Covers. If I want to do, say, a t-shirt based on this, I'm wearing a Build From Now t-shirt. If I want to do a t-shirt based on the Playboy book, or if I want to do something on some of the other books that I did over the 18 years, I either wouldn't have the rights to them, or the rights would be shared in a way where I have to call up Penguin or call up Barnes & Noble or call up whomever and be like, hey, I'd like to do this, and then we have to go through the marketing department. Maybe they have to produce it. With this, I talked to my partner. I talked to my cover designer. I was like, here's how we can split it up. Y'all want to do this? Yes, great. We went to work. They were done in a month, and then they ended up being given out during the launch party, and they're still part of the packages that are available at DamonBrown.net if you guys want to buy the books and the t-shirts and the mugs. And so you're able to move in different ways when you actually own your stuff. But it's not just owning your stuff, but actually creating value and keeping ownership of it. Key part of it. You can create all the value that you want. As I said in a recent keynote, you can be the best manager at McDonald's, but you're never going to actually reap the financial benefits when the McDonald's stock goes up. Same thing. If you have your own little burger joint and you build it from the ground up and you take that risk, which it is a risk for sure, and then you start to reap the benefits, you actually will get the benefits, as opposed to giving it to, the McDonald's brothers or to Ray Kroc, who are the people many generations ago who did take the risk, right? So number one, you want to make value to get value. That's how he got to the billionaire status. Number two, you want to know what you bring to the table. Ava DuVernay is one of my favorite filmmakers. I love her work just as a business person. Like, she just makes these amazing moves. And she said something similar recently about how she doesn't want to have a seat at the table, which is the proverbially getting let into the room, and that you're able to be alongside of the decisions makers here in America. But she actually wants to make her own table. This goes back to what we were talking about as far as with Jay-Z creating his own thing, and that builds something a little bit different. The fact is that if you're an employee, you might be able to become a millionaire at this point if you're like Facebook employee or whatever, but you're not going to become a billionaire. It's just the chance of it happening, made for the next generation as inflation goes up. But if you want to go to billionaire status, or you want to truly, as I talk in my book, bring your worth, then you have to have some type of independence and put some type of skin in the game. For instance, with Jay-Z, a few years back, he ended up buying the streaming service TIDAL. And then he got all these performers on there, from Madonna to Daft Punk to, of course, the exclusive folks that were on the Rockefeller roster, including like Kanye West and Rihanna and other folks. And obviously his wife, Beyonce, where they ended up making a deal with Sony. And he ended up building his own brand with that. Now, because he's owning what later will become a major, major role, because streaming wasn't as hot when he got into it, say, 7-8 years ago, going on 10 years ago. But he had enough of a vision to say, I'm going to invest, I don't know, 400 million or whatever it is. Actually, I think it was a lot less, probably like 100 million, with other people to partner and buy the streaming service and then build it up in our own image, as Ava DuVernay would say, creating your own table. Because he did that, as TIDAL has grown in size and in influence and in stock, then it's become a valuable asset that's actually part of his net worth. Now, it's not just the financial part, but also the freedom that comes with it. For instance, when he did his latest album, 444, then it came out in I want to say 2017, 2018. Phenomenal album, fascinating stuff. The controversy of it, the way he tackled it, the way he had videos, with each of the 10 or 12 songs that were on there, the rollout of it, the exclusivity, he wouldn't be able to do that and make as much of a cultural impact and financial impact if he didn't own the streaming service and own the record label. Think about that. With my new book, Build From Now, it's January 28th, 2021. If you're listening or watching before then, come over to damonbrown.net. You can go ahead and pre-order it and then get exclusive goodies like that I'm not giving out anywhere else. So come over to damonbrown.net if it's beforehand. If it's after, then feel free to get a signed copy, or you can get it at the major services. Speaking of streaming, with this one, I'm able to move in any direction that I want to, but that's because I own the platform, right? That's because I'm talking to you directly at YouTube. I'm talking directly to you. I'm not talking to an agent and the agent's connecting me with you, whom I want to serve. I'm talking directly to you. That's what I'm saying. DamonBrown.net, come through. If you want to use Amazon and other services, awesome. If you want to get the audiobook, which I record but I don't handle, go for it. But I'm part of that process. And in fact, I am the process. That's how you really build a foundation, build a legacy, and build wealth. And I am not a billionaire, but there's different types of wealth to this thing. So it's not just the financial wealth. It's also the social capital. It's also the influence. It's also the ability to serve the world and nourish the world, which is the subtitle of my new book. And so you really have to get invested in your own stuff. And if you end up looking into how Jay-Z became a billionaire, I want to say 10% of it actually came directly from music. As in, he sold, his album went platinum and, he got $10 million, got a check from his business Rockefeller and his partners. Like, that's a small part of it, right? It's also the ancillary things and the merchandise and actually owning some of those platforms that are doing that. So going from one of my favorite lines of his, going from a royalty receiver to a check writer and making that shift. I've made that shift as well just over the past couple of years, where there's people that I collaborate with and we make money together and I'm cutting them a check versus me waiting for someone else to cut me a check. And as I say, and Bring Your Worth, not waiting for someone else to give me permission. So I think those are the amazing insights, or the at least amazing to me insights from Jay-Z becoming a billionaire, and how I recommend you move. You don't have to be billionaire or even millionaire status. You can be thousandaire status. Nothing wrong with that. But think about how you can make value to get value. So build from now and create the good stuff now. And then see how you can add value to the world. Start with that, right? And that gives you a ton of leverage as far as how you make your moves financially, otherwise. And then secondly, know what you bring to the table. Part of that is ownership. So actually getting a part of whatever you're doing. Nothing wrong with being an employee, but if you want to have a bigger legacy, you have to think bigger too. And that requires making risks, even though if those risks are a little bit smaller. If you want more insight on your resources, go over to buildfromnowquiz.com. That's buildfromnowquiz.com, based on the book Build From Now, available January 2021 on the 28th. Super excited about it. At buildfromnowquiz.com, it'll give you insight on which of the resources are your biggest: focus, agility, time, or energy. Focus, agility, time, or energy. I call them the fates. Again, you can see them on my t-shirt or you can see them on the book. Come over there. It's like 3-4 questions. It'll take you 2 minutes. Hundreds of y'all have actually taken the quiz, which makes me feel super excited because I know I'm making an impact. It can give you some good insight into it. Also give you a preview of the book if you haven't checked it out yet. And until we talk again or speak again, remember to always bring your worth, and that you can always build from now. Take care.